Most people think mythology is full of terrifying beasts, monsters that could destroy armies or wipe out kingdoms. But the truth is, not every creature in ancient stories was impressive. Some of them were embarrassingly weak. Today we are counting down the 7 weakest mythical cows ever recorded across world mythology. Creatures that were supposed to be sacred, powerful, or divine, but ended up being completely useless, harmless, or just painfully pathetic. No hype, no exaggeration, just raw mythology and the cows that never stood a chance. Let's begin. Starting off our list is a creature that isn't dangerous, terrifying, or powerful in any way. The Beast of Show. From a tiny Belarusian village of the same name. The entire legend comes from one traumatized girl. After witnessing a man hang himself in a barn, she was too scared to even go near the place. But the next day, when she finally approached the barn, the door suddenly burst open. Out came a little strange calf, small, harmless, not threatening at all. Except for a giant oversized head that looked completely out of proportion. The creature didn't attack, it didn't chase her, it didn't even move. It just stood there in the snow, staring at her, doing absolutely nothing. Then, before she could react, the Beast of Show simply lifted off the ground and flew away, disappearing forever. A calf with a big head and the ability to fly, that's it. No curses, no violence, no danger, it didn't even harm a frightened child when it had a chance. Honestly, it's more cute than monstrous, which is why it easily earns the number 7 spot. At number 6 we have Hiro Mushime, a creature from Japanese folklore created directly as punishment from Enma, the king of hell. Before her transformation, Hiro Mushime was a noble woman named Tanaka no Mahito Hiro Mushime, wife of the lord Miyate. Together they owned huge lands and lived in comfort, but greed consumed her. She cheated everyone she dealt with, watering down her sake to sell more, using small skills when lending rice, and then demanding repayment on larger scales to take extra profit. Enema saw everything, and instead of ignoring it, he punished her, personally. She died suddenly, and 7 days later woke up inside of her own coffin, rotting, reeking, and grotesquely transformed. Her upper body had turned into a deformed cow, unable to eat, barely able to move, and forced to lie down in her own filth. Her husband and children were horrified. They donated much of their wealth in repentance, and only then was Hiro Mushime finally allowed to die for real. A half-human, half-cow creature that is starving, helpless, cursed, and literally unable to survive on its own. It's a terrifying concept, but absolutely not powerful. That's why she sits at number 6. At number 5, we have the Welsh Fwch Gyfeliorn, or rather one particularly unfortunate member of this mystical species of elven cow. While these cows could be powerful and magical, this one was basically a walking heart attack. An old farmer caught a milk-white cow that had fallen in love with his herd. Its milk, butter and cheese were legendary. The farmer became rich beyond imagination, but then greed struck, and he decided to fatten her for the market. And fatten her he did, absurdly and dangerously obese. Barely able to move, a cow so heavy she could collapse under her own weight. When the butcher finally struck, the cow didn't die easily. The blow sent shockwaves that knocked over 9 men and sent the butcher spinning. A green fairy then appeared, called her home, and she flew away, along with her entire bloodline, up to 4 generations. Why is she weak exactly? Well, it's not her magic or her species, they are quite powerful. This specific cow is weak because she was so fat, so helpless. She could probably be defeated by her own weight. Magical? Yes, but ultimately hilariously incapable. At number 5 we have Esho, the star of one of Japan's saddest and most harmless myths. The story begins with a monk named Shaku Esho, who committed a small but unacceptable act. He stole firewood. Because of this, he died, and was immediately reborn as a tiny calf. No rebirth upgrade, no magical blessing, just a regular little cow. The moment baby Esho was born, people put him straight to work, pulling a heavy cart full of firewood. Day and night, no rest, no strength, no chance. Esho was not built for labor. He was basically a newborn with the workload of an ox. One day a monk approached him, crouched down and said the following: Esho is good at reciting the Nirvana Sutra, but not at pulling a cart filled with firewood. Hearing someone finally understanding his suffering, Esho cried tears of relief and then instantly died. That's it. That's the story. A cute, tragic, absolutely non-threatening calf. Yes, he's technically a mythical being, but he cries and he pulls wood badly. That's all he does, and he dies from emotions. Anyone could defeat him by simply, existing there. It doesn't matter what you do. He's stronger than some of the others on the list, but still nothing to fear. At number 3, we have the Japanese Gyukan, one of the tiniest bulls in mythology. So small it exists in microscopic form. This creature develops inside the human lungs and can cause illnesses, forming lumps that trigger epilepsy whenever the host eats. Sounds terrifying, until you realize how weak it is. Despite its effects, the Gyukan is purely strength-based, extremely weak because of its size. It can literally be defeated by a single needle or neutralized with special acupuncture treatments. A microscopic bull that can't fight back physically, it's small, inconvenient, but absolutely no threat in a real confrontation. At number 2, we have the Japanese Kudan, a strange and ominous cow born with the face of a human. Its eyes and mouth could speak prophecies of war, famine, and disease, and villagers reportedly listened carefully to every word it said. Some offered red bean rice or performed rituals to prevent the calamities it foretold. Its image was sometimes preserved in woodblock prints, or as stuffed specimens, serving both as a reminder and as protection against misfortune. With stories of human-faced calves, predicting epidemics, poor harvests, and even wars. Sounds intimidating, right? But here's the thing. The Kudan is absurdly weak. It only lives a few days, often dying 3 days after birth. And its disfigured body is so fragile, it can barely move. Despite its terrifying prophecies it utters, it cannot fight or defend itself in any physical way. You don't need a weapon, a needle, or even a strategy. It's literally helpless. Villagers did fear its words, but in a direct confrontation, the Kudan is laughably powerless, making it one of the easiest mythical cows to defeat. And finally, the number 1. We have the greatest chunk of beef, or O Gyunikukai, from Japan's Meiji period. This bizarre entity haunted an inn in Tokyo, appearing as a massive chunk of beef hanging from the ceiling, tormenting anyone who slept beneath it. Its presence could twist dreams or nightmares, leaving guests unsure if they were awake or trapped in a vision. Sounds terrifying, but here's the kicker. It's completely, utterly weak. 2 boys once stayed in the inn, one dreaming of a horrifying demon, while the other dreamed about a great chunk of beef. And defeating it? Well, easy. You literally just have to open your eyes. That's it. No weapons, no rituals, no strategy. This so-called living nightmare is defeated by the simplest action imaginable. Waking up. A monstrous chunk of meat in legend, but in reality one of the pathetically weakest cows ever imagined. And that's it, the 7 weakest mythical cows ever recorded in folklore. From flying calves to massive chunks of beef. These creatures prove that not every mythical being is terrifying or powerful. If you want more cow-themed videos, I'll make another one, but only if we hit 20 likes and 10 subscribers. Next time, we'll dive to the creepiest Belarusian mythical creatures. And trust me, these are nightmares you do not want to meet in real life, as opposed to these weak cows. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.